Hello and welcome to another video, and today I'm excited to sit down and talk about Microsoft's showcase. They had the Xbox Game Showcase plus Starfield Direct, which honestly was pretty much exactly what most people wanted from Microsoft at this point. It's a very solid showcase. I'm not blown away by it, but I'm not disappointed in it either for the most part. Right off the bat, I'll just say if we were to look at it objectively between what we saw at Sony's State of Play a couple weeks ago, Summer Games Fest from Jeff Keighley, which I did not do a video on because I don't feel like I need to, and then this, it's very clear to come out and say, this here was the clear winner, but I think Microsoft was so poised to win that like it would have been impossible for them to fuck this up, and it pretty much was impossible for them to fuck this up. That being said, I think the reason why I come off of this thing not championing it as much as a lot of other people are is because once again, it's still a showcase where it's like, hey guys, we're gonna have a great year next year. You're gonna get Starfield this year, but everything else is coming next year. And that's exactly what happened last year. So last year it was like, hey guys, you're gonna get Starfield in November, and that's kind of it. And Microsoft's playing the same bet this year. Only difference is you're also getting Forza Motorsport, which is in October. I believe they dated that for October 10th. We'll go over it here. They actually did something really cool on the Xbox Wire. They posted an article that has everything kind of recapping the show. I'm just going to kind of talk about what I thought was important here, what's good to highlight, why I think the show worked in many ways a lot more than the other showcases we saw, and maybe some of the parts of it that didn't work, which, you know, clearly I already stated, like, another showcase where like, man, next year looks banging, but this year is kind of bleak. So, but let's go ahead, let's dive in and just kind of have a conversation and talk about Microsoft's big fucking showcase 2023. So as you see here, Xbox Game Showcase 2023 and Starfield Direct double feature. Every announcement and reveal, this is directly from the Xbox Wire. They kind of go over in the beginning here, as you guys can see, they go over it and say, like, here's, you know, the big heavy hitters, Starfield. Yes, Hellblade 2 was talked about today. Forza Motorsport, which is announced will come out October 10th. They even talked about Avowed and more. During the Xbox Showcase, they shared 27 games, 21 of which will be available for Game Pass and or PC Game Pass. So that's pretty fucking big. Like right off the bat, 27 games were shown today. 21 of them are going to be on Game Pass. Pretty fucking big. Now, I'll also say it's important to note here that this is in alphabetical order. This is not in the order that they were shown. So I'm going to kind of be flying around this this article a little bit, simply because I don't want, I want to try and follow it as close to the showcase as I possibly can. The showcase opened with probably the heaviest hitter I think Microsoft could have had at this point, which was they fucking showed Fable. And not just like an in-game footage. They actually showed, albeit very brief, this is a 2-minute trailer, we saw gameplay of this fucking game, and it looks incredible, like visually incredibly stunning. Like, this is not a game that could have played on an Xbox One. This is clearly a next-gen only, and dare I say, a true next-gen only console experience. This looked fantastic. It's exactly what I want. It has that it has that like Fable kind of dark, mature humor at times, especially like at the end. They have I'm gonna butcher I'm not even gonna try and say the person's name, but they have that one dude from the It Crowd. He's kind of narrating the trailer in a humorous way, and you come to find out at the end of the trailer he's actually a giant. So they're not only just kind of like redoing Fable, this is like a retooling of Fable, and I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing at all. Like, Fable had its own kind of stamp with Peter Molyneux, And this is a franchise that they retain the rights to, so they can kind of do whatever they want. And I think you're seeing this game look as jaw-dropping as you are because they're using the fucking Forza Horizon tech here to make this game. And I think that's why it looks jaw-dropping. This was the one and only game that they showed that did not have a release date attached to the end of it. I don't even think it had like a 2024. It was just like, here it is, Fable. So, will it come out next year? I could easily see this being their big fall 2024 game. And it was a fucking fantastic way to open this conference. Like they came out at the beginning of this conference. I really feel like they came out swinging with this. And with another heavy hitter we're about to talk about. Next game they showed here was Compulsion Games' new game. It's called South of Midnight. This game looks fucking excellent as well. This is Compulsion Games, so the creators of Contrast and We Happy Few. South of Midnight is a spellbinding third-person action-adventure game set in the American Deep South, coming to Xbox X and S with Xbox Game Pass, Windows PC, and Steam. As Hazel, you will explore the mythos and encounter creatures of southern folklore in a macabre and fantastical world. When disaster strikes her hometown, Hazel is called to become a weaver, a magical mender of broken bonds and spirits. I don't think I need to read any more of it. The trailer was fantastic. It has a real, like, interesting style to it that I was not expecting. I really didn't know anything about what Compulsion Games has been working on. I just knew that they were working on something new. There was a code name running around. I can't remember what the code name for this game was, but I'm happy to finally see this shit here. And this was the second game they showed. They came out and they did a big swing with 3 fucking games at the beginning of this conference. And it was fantastic, and this was the second thing that they showed. Next up, they showed a cinematic, and keep in mind, this was an all CG trailer, but this is a third-party game, Star Wars Outlaws, which is the long, heavily rumored Ubisoft developed, Ubisoft published open world Star Wars game that we've heard a lot of rumblings about this game. It looks fucking fantastic. I'll just kind of read a little bit of the premise here. Experience the first ever open world Star Wars game, Star Wars Outlaws, set between the events of Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Explore new and iconic locations across the galaxy and risk it all as Kay Vess, an emerging scoundrel seeking freedom and the means to start a new life, along with her companion Nyx. Fight, steal, and outwit crime syndicates as you join the galaxy's most wanted. If you're willing to take the risk, the galaxy is full of opportunity. I think what was really awesome about this game is not only is it an open world Star Wars game, you're not going to be playing as a Jedi. And I think that's the most important thing here. Like, I feel like Star Wars games have really focused in on 2 things, especially since EA kind of had the license for a long time. You had ship combat and Jedi, and that was kind of the 2 things. This game is not focusing on that. This is focusing on being a Han Solo type character. So I loved everything I saw about this in the cinematic trailer. Apparently at the Ubisoft Direct tomorrow at the time of this recording, they're going to show the first gameplay of it. So it was smart here to kind of get your teaser for what's going to be shown tomorrow. But fantastic idea. And honestly, I'm ready to see somebody else outside of EA handle the Star Wars license at this point. So again, this was a triple swing, and all 3 of these were fantastic fucking hits out of the park to just kind of open this showcase up, really. After this point, I'm going to kind of go a little out of order here and just talk about some of these other games because I'm going to be honest, I didn't take notes during the press conference. And we're going to go kind of all over the place. I obviously know how it ends. I know some of the big beats of it, but this isn't going to be in order. But I feel like it was important to tell you how the press conference overall opened because that's a very important part of like grading this showcase. So another big one that we got to see, and we got to see quite a bit of today in a gameplay trailer, was Avowed. This game, has been, especially the Xbox community, one of its most championed games, specifically because of the pedigree of Obsidian. They're making this game. This is kind of Obsidian's first, like, dip into as close to Fallout New Vegas territory as they can get, but they're kind of taking on the Elder Scrolls type style game, which I'm really excited about, because I'll tell you, this entire trailer made me feel like I'm getting a new Elder Scrolls game, and conceivably way before I'm going to get Elder Scrolls 6. This looked fantastic through and through. It is 2024. I kind of expected that. There was no like window of like spring, summer, fall. If I were going to bet, I'd say it's a fall title, but we'll see what happens. It's important to note about this game specifically is this is the same team that made New Vegas. This is the same team that made The Outer Worlds. Both fantastic fucking games. These people know how to make stories, and I think you're going to have a very story-rich take on Elder Scrolls. That's what this game looks to me that it's trying to do, and I'll be honest, it looks fantastic. I really was hoping this was the one game I was crossing my fingers like, maybe like that November, December of this year, because they really could have had a triple whammy this fall between Starfield in September, Forza in October, and then this in November. That would have been cool. But 2024 is when we're going to get it. It honestly is what it is. inXile showed their new game called Clockwork Revolution. This is from the creators of Wasteland in the Arcanum series. They're doing kind of a time-bending steampunk action RPG. It's going to be on both Xbox Series XS and PC. This looks fine. Like, I'll be honest, it didn't really grab my attention. I know there are people that are going to really enjoy this, especially the people that really got into like Wasteland or the Arcanum series. I never have been that person. So for me, I'll be honest, it didn't do anything, but I'm happy for the people that like that type of game. They're probably going to get something out of this one. Obviously, I mentioned it before, Forza Motorsport has its release date of October 10th of this year. Not surprising. I'll be honest, I'm not a racing person. I think it's very well established on Marble Gallery that Kyle does not give a fuck about racing. Unless it's a kart racer or the Horizon series, which I really enjoy. But when it's regular big boy Forza Motorsport, I just don't fucking care. I have the same opinion of this franchise as I do like Gran Turismo. It's just not for me. That being said, I mean, the cars look like really good rendered cars, as they always do in these games. And I'm sure it'll be a visual showpiece for the Xbox Series X, but I'll be straight up. This is a game I'm never going to play. Did unfortunately get a section of the show that did show stuff for games that are already out. I was hoping Microsoft would avoid this. I will say they did a better job of it this year. They did not take like an astronomical amount of time on this as they have done in the past. So I'll quickly go through, like, we talked about Fallout 76. There's a new expansion coming out later that's going to be set in Atlantic City. There's the new Elder Scrolls Online expansion coming out June 20th called Necrom, which is like I think it was Shadows of Morrowind or something. Again, I'm not attached to either of those games, so I personally don't care. But if you are, you probably, know who you are and probably care about that. And then finally, and I think the one that I do want to highlight a little bit, because I think it is, like, when I first saw the game come up, I was like, oh man, like we have to see this fucking game every year. But I think this was important to show here. Sea of Thieves is getting an expansion that ties it into Monkey Island. So they've partnered with Lucasfilm Games to do this. I think for fans of Monkey Island, they're going to have a fucking blast with this. Sea of Thieves is actually a game some point I'd like to go back and check out, because people seem to really fucking love that game now. And I only played it at launch and did not find really much of interest with it. It felt more like a shell of what could be. And this looks fantastic. I'll be honest. Like, again, I'm not a Monkey Island person, but this is the kind of crossover you should see. And I'm honestly shocked it hasn't happened before. So when I saw this and then they announced what it was, I'm like, you know what? Like, this is fine. It was a very quick trailer. We didn't spend a lot of time on it. And they seem to really listen to a lot of fans' complaints about this part of their showcases. Like, don't spend a lot of time talking about games that are already out. I want to see future stuff. And I think they really listened this year. Let's talk about the other big one, the big elephant in the room, Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. So they brought out the actress that plays Senua, which when she said, oh, we just finished filming the mocap for this game, that told me right away this game's not coming out this year. There were a shit ton of people in just journalists, YouTubers and stuff that were saying this was going to be your November game. It was like the easiest pick, 2024. So we at least got a window that it's sometime next year. They showed gameplay of it running, and this was a key, and this made me extremely happy. They were very hard to point out. This is being shown running on a Series X, and I think the footage looked tremendous. Again, it's important to note this game, from my understanding, is now running on Unreal 5. It looks like jaw-droppingly realistic, and I just have no idea what the fuck is going on in the story of this game. I play it. Yes, I played the first one. I thought the first one was a decent game. I think they're really going hard into making this, from what was a AA game, I would say, to seems like a true AAA experience. In comparison, but this was the other big one people wanted to see at this showcase. Again, it does suck a little bit that it's not coming out this year, and that we'll talk about that at the end when we give a grade to this showcase, but it was good to see it here and see more footage of it after it's been kind of absent for a while. They showed some other stuff that looked kind of cool. The creators of the Banner Saga are making a new game called Towerborn. That looked pretty cool. The people that made that Seafarer game, which a lot of people really liked, are making this like crazy fucking co-op game called 33 Immortals, where you have 33 people playing at once. I think it's a really cool idea. I don't think it's gonna work. I don't know. I'm just skeptical on it. But I mean, cool idea. More of a proof of concept game, in my opinion. Cities Skylines 2. This was a big one, coming this year, October 24th, and it will be on Game Pass day and date for both Xbox Series XS and PC. This looks fantastic. I love the original Cities Skylines. It's kind of like the evolution of SimCity, since SimCity's pretty much a dead franchise at this point. This just looks like a much better version of Cities Skylines, and it's been quite a while since the first one, and they kind of really filled out that first game with a shit ton of content. So this is a huge win for Game Pass. Another game I thought that looked really, really fucking cool was Dungeons of Hinterberg. This game was another like 2024 Series X, S, Windows PC, coming to Game Pass day one. I thought this was a really snappy trailer. It has kind of the Hi-Fi Rush like cell shaded look going to it, but this looked cool. Like, even for like, we're starting to get into that indie game territory, but I actually enjoyed what I saw there. One of the biggest fucking announcements of this showcase for me that I'm so excited for, Yakuza 8, or as we now know, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, finally announced. The trailer was fucking hilarious, fantastic. It seems like Ichiban and Kazuma Kira are going to be in America for this game. So that's what it looked like, but fantastic fucking trailer. It looks awesome. They did not say if this game's going to be on Game Pass day one. This was one of those like 6 games that was not shown for that, but I'm happy that Microsoft has gone out and cut these deals with some of the Japanese publishers like Sega and RGG to get these games also on Xbox, because, well, I have not personally played a ton of the Yakuza games, and we're going to see more of Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth later this week at the time of this recording, when they have their own showcase on June 15th. But it's important for these games to hit Xbox as well. Because, I mean, they were staples of the PlayStation for a long fucking time, but I think it's important that this series should be as many places as it can be. Much like the other series that was heavily showcased here. Unfortunately, 2 of the 3 games were revealed, leaked by Atlas themselves. But again, this is another deal that I think Microsoft really scored big with by signing a Game Pass deal with Sega and Atlas for the Persona franchise. So there's a couple things to talk about here. Number one, Persona 3 Reload is a real remake of Persona 3. It'll be out early next year. Extremely excited for that. I was actually planning some point this summer to play Persona 3 Portable, which was just put out on the Xbox on Game Pass. It's the one of those games I have never played. And now I'm just gonna wait for the remake. Like, there's it kind of was like, okay, I can wait for that remake. That's out sometime early next year. We also got a trailer for it was a Persona day, man. Persona 5 Tactica, which this also Game Pass day one. This has a release date of November 17th. This is literally, it's kind of Persona characters in like chibi form, I would say, or like very close to it. But this is a fucking Persona 5 Tactics game with all the characters you love from Persona 5. I'm going to play the shit out of this. I love Persona 5. I still need to go play Strikers. I never got to play that. I was kind of hoping, honestly, at this showcase, they'd be like, hey, Strikers is coming to Game Pass as well, because that's like the one big omission right now. And then finally, the other like big, huge reveal for that team is that their new game, Metaphor ReFantazio, it is their first full fantasy RPG from the team who has made Persona. This looks fucking fantastic. I'll be honest, when the trailer first started, I got super excited because I thought it was gonna fucking be Shin Megami Tensei 5 coming to Xbox, because that was rumored for so long, and I was gonna lose my shit because I've held off on playing that game for that reason. And also, I know it runs really bad on the Switch, even though I do own it there. And this wasn't that, but this is new. This is awesome. I'd heard like a little bit of rumblings about this, but this is awesome, not only to see, but to see that it's going to be coming to this platform. Now, it is important to note, and I don't think I mentioned it here, this game does not, on the official press release, it does not say anything about Game Pass. So I have a feeling this game will come to Game Pass, but not day one. Another big one here that was kind of rumored for a while, Payday 3. That was big because it is coming to Game Pass day one, so I don't have to buy Payday 3. It looks good. It looks like more Payday. They showed a really funny shot of like one of the crooks like throws an enemy off the roof, but then like the guy's already gonna die. Like, he's being thrown off a fucking roof, but then he shoots him anyways. Like, I don't understand the point of that, but that made me laugh out loud because it just seems like overkill. But I'm down for more Payday. I loved Payday 2. I played a lot of that on PC. And a little bit of the 360 version when that came out. That's how long ago Payday 2 came out. So, fantastic trailer. Look forward to that. The people behind Dear Esther, Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, and Amnesia: A Machine for Pigs, which is the team, the Chinese Room. They're making a new game coming to Xbox. Day one Game Pass game next year called Still Wakes the Deep. They showed a brief, like, 30-second trailer for this. It looks interesting, but I have nothing more to say because, I'll be fucking honest, there's really not much to talk about in a 30-second trailer, but I'm interested. Premise has me intrigued. Finally, one other big one that was here, they actually fucking brought out Keanu Reeves to announce the release date for Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty, which is out September 26th. So, but September is a big fucking month for video games this year. This looks great. I've said before, I reviewed Cyberpunk on the channel. I played it on the Xbox Series X at launch. I know it's a much better game today than even when I played it. This very much was a game that only should have come out on PS5 and Series X. I don't think it should have launched on last-gen systems at all. I look forward to playing this, honestly. Like, I really enjoyed Cyberpunk for what it is. I had a lot of fun with it, and I think this expansion looks really good. They got Idris Elba in there as another character that's with you. Obviously, Keanu Reeves has returned as Johnny Silverhands. I look forward to playing this. This was something that excited me, and I look forward to playing more of it when it comes out. And then finally, there are a couple other like small titles, but I don't think anything I'm really missing here that wasn't big enough to talk about here. They did have Uncle Phil come out. He kind of talked about just like how many games they showed here and everything. And then they announced that They have shipped a lot more Series X systems to stores, which I can attest to. Like, I'll be honest, every time in the last like 2 months I've been in a Walmart or a Target or even GameStop, they have both PlayStation 5s and Series X systems on the shelf. Series S's are obviously always in stock. But they announced a new version of the Series S, which is a black system. It is $350 and it comes with a terabyte hard drive. I guess that's cool, but my biggest issue is when you're making an all-digital system, even a terabyte's not enough storage. So, and again, the Series S is a weaker system, so I get it. This is a system that brings people into the ecosystem at a budgeted price. But even still, like, you should have made this 2 terabytes. You had all of that, and that was a really good showcase. My disappointment with the Xbox showcase, and we'll talk about Starfield in a minute, is they didn't have that one last thing because they just relied on that one last thing to be the Starfield Direct. There was no Indiana Jones, there was no Gears 6, and there was no Perfect Dark. Now, let's be honest. Perfect Dark is such a disaster of a video game from everything that I've personally heard that I don't even think you're going to see it next year. I think that game is so far gone on what it originally was that you're not going to see it until 2025, and I think it's a 2026 game. But flip side of that, Gears 6 I think you'll see next year. And Indiana Jones was the one that I was really shocked. No, they could have a marketing deal with it. No, nothing. They did not talk about that. No Wolfenstein 3 either. Really surprising. So that being said, they have said like there'll be probably a fall direct at some point. So is there an opportunity later this year to show something? Absolutely. But I think a fall direct, you maybe get some solid release dates for like Avowed or Senua's Saga or something like that. But their last one more thing was just the Starfield Direct, which was honestly a good like 45 minutes of Starfield. So it's funny because they showed a story trailer for Starfield during the Xbox event, and I kind of saw that, and when I first saw it, I was like, yeah, I kind of don't need the Direct for Starfield. But I'm actually glad that I watched it because it confirmed to me at least that Starfield is a real fucking game. It's not just like Todd Howard's fever dream he's been talking about for the last 6-7 years. It is basically the next Skyrim. Like, it's the next Elder Scrolls, it's the next Fallout. It's in space. It looks tremendous. Like, I am now after coming out of this direct where I went into it going, I don't know, how hyped I am for Starfield. I'm 100% hyped for Starfield. And, well, I made this argument a couple of weeks ago in a video of, like, 30 frames is kind of inexcusable for a video game on a Series X or a PS5. And let's be fair, they did not talk about frame rate here with Starfield. And the footage I saw, and I'm sure it'll come out on Digital Foundry this week, clearly was not 60 frames. This was clearly 30 frames, high visual quality, because that's what Todd Howard cares about. And I think it's very realistic to expect Starfield launches as a 30 frames 4K game, that you maybe get a performance patch down the road, but it would be very far down the road. I don't think it would be right away. Again, I could be wrong. I could be talking out of my ass here, but I really think that Starfield is a 30 frames game. And I made that video a couple weeks ago where I'm like, it's fucking inexcusable and everything. And here's what happened. Then I got Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which at the time of this recording is the best game I've played this year. That game's 30 frames, and it doesn't matter. Like, for me, like, I've put 60 hours into Zelda, and you guys will see later this week I'll have a video out with impressions of Zelda. And it is the most immersive game I have played in probably 2-3 years. Like, I have so much fun with it, I don't even think about the frame rate. It's not even noticeable to me until I switch back to a next-gen game. And I'm like, oh yeah, that game is 30 frames. But I'm having so much fun with Zelda that it just doesn't bother me. And after seeing everything I saw for Starfield today, going to different planets, the level of detail that they have, how the cities are, like the various dialogue trees and weapons and everything. Combat also looked really impressive compared to what we saw last year. I don't think it matters. like I've kind of 180'd on that opinion. Like, Yes, I'm obviously this game will be considered a first-party Microsoft game, so it should be a play anywhere game where I can switch back and forth between my PC save and Xbox. So I am definitely going to put this game through the ringer when it comes out in September and play it on both platforms. But I really think that it's not going to be as big of a deal as I think people are making. Whereas like Redfall, they clearly did his bait and switch on that game. But Redfall, as we know, especially now, is a complete disaster. So Starfield, I think it looks incredible. Like I cannot wait for that game. So let's wrap it up. Xbox 2023 Game Showcase. For me, it's getting a final letter grade of a B+. Which I know some people are gonna look at like, that's really fucking harsh. Like, you know what? It wasn't a perfect home run for me. I think there are some things they could have done to tighten it a little bit. But the most important thing out of this showcase for me was I saw 2 hours of games where like 95% of the games shown are games I'm interested in playing. Most of them on Game Pass. I don't have to buy them because they're on Game Pass. And I came out knowing a lot more about Microsoft's immediate next year future than I walked out of Sony's conference going, hey, what am I going to play after Spider-Man? I still don't know. So, not that there's not time for Sony to change that this year, because they could certainly have another state of play, but Microsoft really brought it today. This was an aggressive Microsoft that we haven't seen for a while. Confident Microsoft. I mean, again, for fuck's sake, they started with Fable. Like, they literally showed the game everybody wanted to see as the first game. The opener of the showcase was Fable, and it looks incredible. So, B+, I think is positive. And now let's talk about the negatives of the showcase. Biggest negative for me, again, we're following the same pattern of, hey guys, we got 1 or 2 games this year, but your next year is going to be stacked with games. And I'll be honest, I'm a realist. Dates are going to slip. Games that you saw at this showcase are going to slip into 2025. It is what it is. It's the nature of the video game business. But I still think that everything shown here was incredibly strong, and it kind of renewed at least my faith a little bit in Microsoft after just a couple disastrous weeks they had between Redfall and between the ABK deal, potentially falling through. This was Microsoft at, I'd argue, their strongest in a couple years and their most competitive in a couple years. So they were confident. They came out swinging with a ton of games. You now know most of what first-party Microsoft studios are working on. There are some exceptions, yes, but most of them you know. And a lot of the things that we heard rumblings about didn't happen. There was no Fable collection. There were no collections announced. It's really weird because, like, Phil, a couple weeks ago, he mentioned on the Kind of Funny Gamecast when he was on that there was a couple collections they were working on. Now, I did just read that they're going to have another brief showcase on June 13th around noon. It's called the Xbox Game Showcase Extended. They're going to do deeper dives on Avowed, Towerborn, Senua's Saga, Elder Scrolls Online, and the Microsoft Flight Simulator. As well as games from our creative partners that we didn't show today. So there is a very good chance that one of those collections that Phil was talking about might be announced there. Now, is that a Fable collection? Maybe. Is that the Gears of War Marcus Phoenix collection? Maybe. I think if I had to choose between those two, Fable makes more sense to announce right now because you need to reestablish, you need to reaffirm people on what Fable was. There's a whole generation of Xbox fans and a generation of gamers that never played a fucking Fable game. Okay, let me put it this way. I got Fable when I was a senior in high school, when I bought my original Xbox. Because I bought an Xbox really late in the generation, and that was the first game that I played on the Xbox, besides Halo, was that. And, I don't have like a huge attachment to Fable as a franchise. It's a very fucking good game, and it's one that I'm really honestly shocked we've let sit dormant for so long. So, but again, that being said, nothing like that was shown here. Nothing like that was announced. But I think everything they showed was extremely strong, extremely confident. This is now a brand that is showing that they're not out of this fight. They just were down a little bit for a bit. But again, too much heavy reliance on, hey guys, we got Starfield this year, you got Forza, and then we're going to really fucking hit you over the head next year. And unfortunately, that is the same thing I've heard for the last 3 years. And it was kind of a bummer to see that again here. Like, I really think if they would have had at least one more big title this year, like maybe be it Avowed, maybe it be Hellblade 2, I think it would have been an easier pill to swallow. And honestly, I probably would have moved my grade up to an A- because I think their showcase was really that strong. But I have to mark it down because at the end of the day, it's still here's a little bit, but wait for more next year. So I'd be curious to know, what do you guys think of the showcase? Did you guys like the showcase? Did you hate it? Let me know in the comments below. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, until next time.